This is Marcel Koppensavage. The German-born prospective manager is on a mission to make his name known in European football. Growing up in the city of Gladbach, Marcel had multiple coaches that he looked up to, namely former AC Milan manager Fabio Capello, former Real Madrid and Barcelona manager Vicente Del Bosque, former German national team and World Cup winning manager Joachim Löw, and of course, his biggest idol, Jose Mourinho. Although all of his inspirations are managers from the past, Marcel is very much a modern-day manager, implementing a style that incorporates elements of German, Italian, and English football. His style of coaching and management was first put to the test in Serie A, where he had an unbelievable first season, winning the Coppa Italia, the Europa League, going undefeated for the whole season at home and not losing a single game in European football. He also led Roma to their first top 4 finish since the 2017-2018 season. This season went much better than anybody would have ever imagined, and it was going to be difficult to replicate or even build on from this in the second season. The second season started with a massive game against Real Madrid in the Super Cup, as they had won yet another Champions League. This was a chance for Marcel to win another big trophy for Roma, but to also test himself against one of the best teams in the world and to get an idea of what it will be like in the Champions League this season. Unfortunately, the Spanish giants just had a little too much for Marcel's Roma, as they fell to a heartbreaking last-minute defeat in the UEFA Super Cup final. Funny enough, Roma were then drawn in the same group as Barcelona in the Champions League, the other Spanish giants. Despite it being their first season back in the Champions League in the wild, Marcel Koppensavage's Roma made it through the group stages undefeated. They also found themselves in an unexpected title race for the Serie A. A combination of having a very thin squad, multiple injuries, and some tactical mistakes from Marcel turned the second half into the season very sour. Although keeping his undefeated record in Europe, his Roma side got eliminated by Sevilla on penalties in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. For a large period of the season, it was a 3-horse title race between Roma, Milan, and Atalanta, but towards the end of the season, Atalanta fell away and it was down to Roma and Milan. With 2 games left to play, Roma needed 3 points to secure the Serie A title. Marcel's Roma would then go out to get thrashed by Juventus, the defending champions of that time, not willing to let go of their Scudetto quite yet to the Giallorossi. This massive victory for Juve then turned the goal difference significantly in Milan's favor, heading into the final game of the season. With an identical record, an identical number of points, and an identical head-to-head, Milan went into the final game of the Serie A season ahead of Roma by 1 in goal difference. And after what Roma thought was their moment, winning the game very late on against Bologna, they only found out that Milan matched their result and in the end won the Serie A title by 1 goal. Going from a position where you needed 1 win against Juventus to win the league title, to then losing it out by 1 goal, this was too much for Marcel to take, and he needed a sabbatical ASAP. He has since resigned as Roma manager and has been away gathering his thoughts, getting new tactical knowledge, making plans, and looking to come back stronger and better than he was before. Marcel is back and he is ready for his next task, his new challenge. What is going to be happening with Marcel Koppensavage moving forward? Well, we set out a poll and asked you guys in which country you wanted to see him come back and apply his trade. He'd already been to Italy, so we did not include that as an option, and the results were very clear. You wanted Marcel to go back to his homeland, Germany. And although as previously mentioned, growing up in Mönchengladbach and being a Gladbach fan, Marcel wanted a more challenging task. Similarly to how Marcel could not quite reach the pinnacle of Italian football, he looked for a German club that had not been at the pinnacle for quite a while. Step in Fußballclub Gelsenkirchen Schalke 04. Schalke 04 are both the 3rd most successful club domestically in Germany and also the 3rd most successful club overall in Germany. They have a total of 14 domestic trophies and 17 overall major trophies. Despite not winning the newly formed Bundesliga, Schalke have 7 German championships to their name. They also have 5 German Cups, the DFB Pokal, and 1 Liga Pokal, the older version of the German Cup, and 1 Super Cup. They've also been successful in Europe as they have 1 Europa League or UEFA Cup and 2 UEFA Intertoto Cups. This gives them a total of 17 major trophies. Their last piece of silverware came in 2011 in the DFL Super Cup. Although they haven't won the German league in a very long time, Schalke still have the 4th most league titles in Germany, only behind Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund, and FC Nuremberg. This is the true definition of a sleeping giant. Guess who's back? Back again. Hey, Marcel's back. Tell a friend. No, seriously, tell a friend, because this video has taken me a very long time to work on, and I want us all to be involved and try to bring back glory to this once prestigious club, this historic German club, this fallen giant, if you may. Schalke have been going through a horrid time recently through financial troubles and even suffering their first relegation in a very long time. The 2022-23 season is actually their first season back in the top flight in the Bundesliga, and they have been struggling, and this may genuinely be Marcel's biggest task yet. Things didn't end so well at Roma, and they're not going to start so well here at Schalke, because this is going to be very difficult. If you are enjoying this video, please do drop a like on it and subscribe as well. I would greatly appreciate that. And like I said, tell a friend, share the video. That would be greatly helpful, because this is going to be the impossible rebuild. This is actually a rule set that I've been working on for quite a while, thinking of ways to try to make career mode better, to try to make career mode more challenging, and to try to make it more realistic. You hear that word a lot of times on this channel, and that's the main goal at the end of the day. Speaking of realism, we've actually went into career mode and have replicated Schalke's results throughout the season, and that's where we're going to take off. So how does the impossible rebuild work? Well, it lasts over a period of 10 years. It's 10 full seasons at one club, with the goal of making that decade, while you're there, the most successful decade in the club's history. Of course, it takes a quick Google search to just search up the recent honors or past honors of any specific club that you will be using, and you're going to check which period in their history was the most successful 10 years, and your challenge is to try to make it more successful than that. Of course, it becomes more difficult with some of the bigger clubs that really dominated a period of time, and Schalke is just one of them. If you fail to win at least one top division league title, you have failed the rebuild. If you get sacked, you have failed the rebuild, and if you somehow get relegated, you have failed the rebuild. So I'm just gonna give you how it works for now. There are many more details regarding transfers, scouting, wages, all these things, but we're gonna bring them to you at a later stage. I don't wanna freak you guys out quite yet, but stay tuned. This is going to be a very good one. That's how the table is looking. I'm just going to compare it to the real life table as well to show you how our table is looking compared to the real life one. We are 24 games into the season. I haven't played a single game. It's very simple to do. You just look up past results of the team you're going to be playing with, and you just replicate them. It's really that simple. In this situation, though, we are sitting one spot higher than Schalke are in real life, but we very much are in a relegation battle. Remember, yeah, one of the ways to fail this rebuild is to get relegated. So this may be failed on the first season. Who knows? Now, time to meet the squad that will be doing this rebuild with. These guys are not really great. They're not that good. And I've actually been watching quite a lot of Schalke just to try to get an idea of the club. Actually been looking up a lot of historical facts and historical periods of time in Schalke 04's history. And it's been quite interesting. It's been quite interesting. So these are the players we're going to be using. Of course, in FIFA, they're not great, bro. And you can see exactly why they are in a relegation battle. This is definitely going to be the weakest squad Marcel has ever worked with. And this is a completely different kind of challenge. So, yeah, the task is there. We have exactly 10 games left in the Bundesliga season to try to save Schalke and to get out of the situation we find ourselves in. There are quite a lot of players who have contracts running down at the end of the season. These things we'll deal with by the end of the season. Listen, if they agree pre-contract deals with other clubs, I don't really care. The main goal now is to not get relegated and to continue the challenge, because this may get very embarrassing if I do get relegated and this is just scrapped after the first season, right? Or even if I get sacked. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Make sure you keep your eyes on the channel. Make sure you're subscribed and that bell notification is ticked not to miss what goes on in this series. Now, a few players to note for Schalke. They have a specific striker, Simon Terodde. He's a bit of a, I don't want to say a legend, but he's a bit of a character, amongst the fans. Very instrumental in them coming back up to the Bundesliga, and there he is right there. Unfortunately for us, he's retiring at the end of the season. So that's not great. That's not great. He's about 35 years old, but hey, there's the squad, and these are the tactics that we'll be using. Of course, Marcel plays a very specific system. He plays that 3-1-4-1-1 formation. The back three with the defensive mid, the two number 8s, two wing backs, a number 10, and a striker. Looking through the players, I've been trying to see what starting 11 we can have at least on paper. We have opted to go for Mikkel Fry in there ahead of Terodde. You can see Terodde's like 35, bro. He doesn't have the legs to be playing because this formation is very much a very direct one and you need to be running up and down the field quite a lot. We also have Polter there. I don't really quite fancy him, so we're going to go with Fry for now. He is only on loan, but we're going to stick him in there. We don't have Draxler as the only natural attacking midfielder in the whole squad, so you don't really have many options. We have Tom Kraus as a center mid. I actually like him. We have Balanta as a defensive mid, and we have Krull as another center mid. I guess Krull can also play as a DM, but we'll put him at center mid for now. We have Thomas Oweyan. I really like the look of this guy because look at his crossing, bro. As a wing back, having that level of crossing and that early cross trait is vital because the two wing backs have to provide crosses. We also have Rodrigo Salazar, who we're putting at right wing back for now, but ideally he's a midfielder. I'm putting him there because he has a high attacking work rate and high defensive work rate. He needs to be up and down that flank the whole game. We don't really have another right back that I really fancy, so he's not a right back. You can see his crossing is not great. We also have Aidan, who can play right back as well, but his crossing is also not great. So if we somehow make it to next season and we survive this, right back or right wing back may be a place where we should be looking to improve. We currently have Kaminski playing at left centre back because he is the only left-footed centre back I found in the squad, and he also has a long passing trait, which is always useful. We then have Sepp van der Berg on loan from Liverpool. We're going to stick him in the centre. I was kind of thinking of playing Yoshida in there, but yeah, Yoshida's just too old, boys. Unfortunately, he can't really keep up. That means the captaincy will then have to be moved to Cedric Brunner, who will be playing right side of centre-back. Can play as a right-back, but I like him more as a right-sided centre-back, a team player as well. So he'll be taking the captain's armband. And we have Schwolov in goal, a very divisive character in the Schalke community, I've come to realize. He has his moments of being very bad, and you can see that he has a trait of being cautious for crosses, which means he's terrible at coming out and claiming crosses, whereas Ralph Farbman, on the other hand, is very imposing, very good at coming and catching crosses, but unfortunately, he's a bit old, lads. These are the tactics. We play with press after possession loss. We have 45 width, so we keep it very compact. We originally have 50 depth just to, you know, it's not a low block, it's not a high block, it's more of a mid block just to compact that midfield and make it very difficult for teams to play through us. We play as wide as possible, commit bodies into the box and commit bodies up the field for set pieces. Set pieces are very important. So we're just going to go through the instructions here to show exactly what is required from each position, starting with the goalkeeper. Ideally, I'd like to have my goalkeeper to be a sweeper keeper and to come out for crosses and be very commanding. But you saw Schwolov has that trait where he is cautious for crosses. That's never a good trait to have as a goalkeeper. That means he will try to come out if you instruct him to, but he's not going to be very good at catching crosses and stuff like that. So we're just going to leave it on balance. The three centre backs have very basic instructions, nothing too fancy in defense. Balanta just cutting out passing lanes and covering the center there. Then we have the two number 8s, Krull and Kraus. They're instructed to cover the center in defense, but to get forward in attack and to get into the box. The whole goal is to overload the box. You saw even with our tactics that we are committing a lot of players into the box. So when the ball is out wide, we have the two center mids getting in the box, we have the wing back getting in the box, we have the striker in there, and we have the attacking midfielder in there. So there are a lot of targets to hit. The two wing backs keep the width, get forward, come back on defense, and get into the box yet again at the back post. The number 10 there, Draxler, is going to have to be the creativity. So he gets a free roam. He's instructed to stay forward, so he doesn't really have that much defensive responsibility, and to also get in the box. And the striker for us has to come back on defense and make it a 5-3-2 in defense. And he also just has to get in behind and make those runs for us. We then have a new tactic I've really been working on for a while now, Cop and Savage Ball 2. And I'll be honest, I don't think we're going to be using this anytime soon, because this requires a very high level of technical ability. And this starts off with having two attacking midfielders behind the striker, and the goal is to have them as inverted players. So a right footer on the left and a left footer on the right, and that is then complemented by the wing backs, of course, being a traditional left footer on the left and a right footer on the right. We then play with two holding mids, still with three center backs, still playing pressure after possession loss, still keeping it compact, so not really opening up too many spaces out wide, but playing a very high line. This is going to be a high pressing possession based tactic, whereas the previous one is more direct, it's more counter attacking. So we're still going to play fast build up in attack. They're not going to be wasting too much time with the ball at the back, but we're going to be playing a direct passing, and this is meant to keep the ball in the opposition final third for a very long time there and keep them pinned in and try to break them down. Still going to commit a lot of players into the box and still going to commit players from set pieces. Now the instructions, the goalkeeper instructions pretty much remain the same. If you have a keeper that's comfortable coming out and catching the ball, you set him to come out and catch the ball. The other two center backs, the left and right side, don't have any specific instructions, but the central guy here is important because you can see now we're playing with two midfielders and not three, so he's going to have to step up at times, playing a high pressing line. If he doesn't step up, there's going to be a gap between the two midfielders. So out of possession, when we do that counter pressing, he's going to have to step up and almost be a third midfielder, and we're going to essentially be playing with two at the back. And as for the midfield, starting off with Krusher here, we're putting it on him for now because he has the best passing out of our midfielders, and that's because he's going to be required to be a deep lying playmaker. He still has to cover the center when we do defend, but his main role is to keep possession going. So he's going to be the guy that we're going to trust with the ball to move it about from one side of the field to the other and to keep those attacks sustained and pin the opposition back. To complement him, we have this on Kraus for now. He's going to have to stay back and cut out the passing lanes. So he's going to be there to stop counterattacks through the middle, and of course with the center back stepping up as well to make it a three-man midfield of sorts. That's the whole goal, to stop any passes going through the middle. The two wing backs have identical instructions except for the interceptions. They have to be aggressive because we're playing high pressing, so they're going to be more committed in the tackles, more committed to get that interception in, and that's going to be the same for all of our attacking players. So the attacking mids as well, they're starting to come back and help out defensively, maybe to cover the opposition fullbacks if they push up. We are just that in game. If we really want to dominate, we may take them to stealth forward and not come back and like on the defense. So that's really going to pin the opposition back. They're required to get into the box for crosses, but vitally aggressive interceptions. Again, high pressing system. The striker here is required to stay forward. He doesn't have to come back. He's there, stay forward, stay in the center, and again, aggressive interceptions. So those five attackers essentially are going to be very important in us winning the ball back as soon as possible and keeping pressure on the opposition. So we've gone through everything. We've gone through how Marcel has ended up here. We've gone through the history of the club. We've gone through the task at hand, and we've already made it clear that it's going to be a very difficult challenge. And boy, what a way to kick it off. All that's left is to play the football, and we are going away to the Allianz Arena to take on the top dons in this league. 10 German titles in a row. They'll be looking to make it an 11th. We face Bayern München in our first game here at Schalke. That'll be dropping tomorrow, so make sure not to miss that. Do drop a like on the video if you have enjoyed this and if you are excited by this new series. I am absolutely ecstatic to be bringing this to you guys. I've been working on it for a while. It has taken me a while. You guys also had your say in the votes as well. And here we are, of course, do engage in the comments and show the subscribe button some love. Yeah, I would greatly appreciate that. I've been Krusher. I'll see you guys next time.